So far in our final module, Module 10, we've looked at maintaining vCenter and maintaining our ESXi hosts. But in terms of VMware software, there's also the virtual machines that we need to be concerned about. We have to consider that when each new version of ESXi is released, there's a new version of VMware tools to go with it. And there's also a new version of that virtual motherboard, or VM hardware. And we have to consider whether or not updating VMware tools and the virtual hardware is something that we want to do, something that we have to do, and we have to figure out how we want to do it with as little interruption in the environment as possible. So that's what we're going to look at here with lesson number 5, managing the lifecycle of VMware tools and virtual machine hardware. So VMware tools should be kept up to date, right? You should always be using the latest version of VMware tools in your virtual machines in order to support bug fixes and security patches, new enhancements that we add to things like the VMX-Net3 network driver and other drivers. Performance enhancements are continually added to VMware tools. So this is an important part, like it says here, of our data center maintenance. Now, upgrading VMware tools has been made really, really easy in vSphere 7. When you click on a cluster, or you click on a virtual machine folder in your VMs and templates view, or you click on an individual VM, you will find the Updates tab, and you can select VMware tools. It will give you a list of the VMs and the state of VMware tools running within those VMs. It'll tell you whether or not there is an upgrade available. It'll tell you whether or not VMware tools has been managed by the guest, which means I'm using OpenVM tools in Linux systems, which means I need to use in-guest tools to update VMware tools, okay? It'll say whether or not VMware tools is not installed, in which case you should probably install VMware tools. And if the version of the guest operating system that you're running does not support VMware tools, well, find a new guest operating system. It could tell you unknown. Now, the main reason that you might see this is that the virtual machine is actually powered off, and ESXi has not detected that particular version of VMware tools yet to this point. Or it'll finally tell you it's up to date and you don't need to worry about it. At this point, I can choose the virtual machines whose VMware tools versions I want to upgrade and hit the button that says upgrade to match host, or I can set it to auto update. By choosing upgrade to match host, it'll install the version of VMware tools that the host has available for it. Each ESXi host, when you install it, includes in the file system of ESXi ISO images for Windows and Linux VMware tools. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Selecting upgrade to match host will allow you then to select the VMs to upgrade, schedule it, and then choose what happens when you if something goes wrong. Here we have these rollback update options that say, do I want to take a snapshot of the virtual machine before I apply the update? Okay, and what do I want to do with that snapshot later on? Okay, do I want to do nothing, or simply keep the snapshot around for a few days or a few hours so that I can verify that VMware tools has been updated properly and that it's installed simply by going back to this list and seeing that it's up to date, that it's reported to vCenter server that it's up to date. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do in order to upgrade VMware tools here. So with each release of ESXi, we do have a new version of VMware tools, but we also have a new version of the virtual motherboard, that VM hardware. And it's up to you at this point whether or not you need to use those new features in your particular VM or VMs. So upgrading that virtual hardware is something that is optional for you to do. But if you'd like to use those new features, it's absolutely required. Okay, what does this buy us? Well, it buys us compatibility with the new features that are included with the new version of ESXi. Greater configuration maximums, support for vGPUs, support for things like virtual machine encryption was added with vSphere 6.5, and it required the new version of the virtual machine hardware, and so on. Okay, so if some of those new features that are included with ESXi are something that you want to use as a part of your virtual machine, then by all means, upgrade the virtual machine hardware. Okay, you don't always have to do this, and this does require a reboot of the virtual machine. Okay, select the VM hardware link here, select the virtual machines that you would like to upgrade, and click Upgrade to Match Host. Now, in some environments, of course, you're going to have mixed versions of ESXi. ESXi 6.7, ESXi 7.0. If your virtual machine is currently running on 6.7 and you hit Upgrade to Match Host, it will not upgrade it all the way to the 7.0 version. It will stay on the version that your ESXi host is set at, because you cannot run virtual machine hardware.latest on an older version of ESXi. Okay, so be aware of that. If you have one ESXi host in your environment and one host on version 7 and 50 hosts on version 6.7, and you decide to upgrade all your VMs to version 7 virtual machine hardware, okay, it's hardware 17, I think is the latest version, then those VMs will not run on the older hosts. Okay? Now, when you hit that Upgrade to Match Host button, it will upgrade it to the latest version that your host supports. Or I should say the latest version that your virtual machine's host supports. Okay, when you hit that button, you can upgrade it immediately, meaning you have to shut that VM down, or you can schedule the upgrade during a maintenance window. Okay? Again, you can set rollback options, because when you take a snapshot of the virtual machine, it also includes the virtual machine configuration, which says what version of the virtual hardware are you on. So you can take a snapshot, set how long you want the snapshot to be around for, and so on. Well, those are the two simple extra components that we need to add and that we need to consider updating: our virtual machine hardware and VMware tools. Wow, we've done a lot of work here over the past week or so. 10 modules and a ton of a deep dive into vSphere 7. And I hope that you've enjoyed this course. And I hope that you're very successful in using VMware's ESXi and vCenter Server in your career going forward. And I challenge you to get your certification, your VCP DCV certification. And I want to wish you all great luck in your careers going forward. Well, we finally closed out here module number 10, and we've closed out the course as well. We've learned in module 10 about Update Planner for vCenter Server. We've learned about baselines and images for ESXi and clusters, and we learned how to update VMware tools and virtual machine hardware. And we know that that last piece, that virtual machine hardware, does require a reboot and is only necessary when you want to use those new features. It's certainly been a pleasure working with everybody here, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again. Good luck.